As a kid, I had no care in the world. This is the world I was born into, and that's how I navigate it. But as I get older, I find that there are spaces that are more difficult to navigate. I find ways to adapt. I mean, that's the beauty of somebody with disability. My approach to entering a building or going from point A to point B is drastically different from that of an able-bodied person. Over time, I realized it's just kind of one of those aha moments that I actually have a design voice and a platform to make change. I'm Mike, Michael, Mikey. I go by all three. I'm a husband, a father, a sibling, a golfer, an architect, and a disabled person. I was born 3 months premature. I had a womb mate, my guardian angel, Angela. I was a shade over 2 pounds and she was a shade over 1 pound. She left just 3 days after coming into this world. I was born with cerebral palsy, CP for short. My variation of it is spastic diplegia bilateral. It impacts my legs and a little bit in my arms. For easily the first 30 plus years of my life, I didn't really talk about my disability. I didn't want it to define and make up who I was, but in hindsight, that's molded me into the person I am today. I treat it now as an icebreaker. I don't want to say I go out of my way to say that I have cerebral palsy from day one, but I'll bring it up in a conversation with you. The biggest challenges I face daily is not everything's always the same. As an architect, I appreciate that. It doesn't need to be consistent and the same. So just kind of walking in and looking around and assessing how to get from point A to point B. Navigating the built environment as somebody with cerebral palsy, it's tough. I joke that it's like playing a game of chess where I need to be 2 or 3 moves ahead of where I'm going. I'm constantly looking around, looking down, kind of mapping out my course. Are there stairs? Are there tables in my way with chairs extending out that narrows the path? It's not always the easiest, but I adapt to my surroundings. We just need to prioritize accessibility beyond the standard code obligations. Sadly, many people typically don't contribute to making an all-inclusive design unless they have been impacted by it personally. It's a different world, so seeing through that lens and looking beyond like, oh, my mom or my parent or my good friend was impacted by this, those should be conversations and thoughts right out the gates. Empathy plays a role in my design work. I haven't coined the phrase, but lately I've been looking at it, it's like, what would Mikey do? It's through that lens, how would I handle or address this situation? Good design allows me to experience a space, an event, as the designer intended it to be. I'm a huge sports fan, but going to live sporting events is tough because it's an event, it's a day. I arrive to an arena well before anybody else does, just so I don't have to navigate the crowds and get to my seat easier, but I also stay later for the same reason. There's been some key quality designs out there. I found it more in the outdoor setting. I found my perfect dream set of stairs where it's a 5-inch rise and a 13-inch tread, and that allows me to walk up the steps, sometimes not even using a handrail. The talking point that I want for other fellow designers is just bring awareness and shine a light on design decisions and making informed design decisions. When you're laying out a space and you see that there's X amount of tables and chairs in here. And chairs aren't always going to be pushed in underneath the table. There's always going to be scatter and mess. Like, what could be done to make it a little bit easier to go from a break room in a space to a living room area. As we try to push the boundaries of design decisions, I hope that this documentary is a nice, quick glimpse through my lens. I may struggle with some items, but know that there's a good friend that may struggle as well, or a colleague. Also, it goes back to the power of knowledge and speaking, talking about it. I like to dream big, and I really think that this documentary has a chance to be very powerful and inspiring. This is phase one. This isn't about me, it's about other individuals. I've been blessed to be around many other disabled individuals. I play a lot of adaptive golf around the country and become good friends with many individuals from varying walks of life. I want them to be able to tell their stories, to let their voices be heard, because I have a platform to capture these voices. So this is the world I was born into. I'm fortunate enough to not have lost a limb or been paralyzed. This is literally the only world that I know. I've never once been woe is me, or play the pity card. It's just like, is the card you're dealt, you deal with it. The beautiful thing of a disabled person is they're strong. You find ways to overcome whatever obstacles you may have, and you just go about your day. Doesn't matter if you're a disabled person, an able-bodied person, life's gonna throw you curveballs. You're gonna get knocked down, but you gotta get back up, and you just keep getting up, keep fighting, you move on to the next day.